Again, I'm Dr. Ajay Shah, and we are doing today this happiness workshop. This is segment number 9. If you are on YouTube, please watch segment 1 to 8 in sequence. They all go in sequence. Obviously, you can watch any segment anytime, but if you can, watch those segments in a row on YouTube. Thank you. Again, my big thank you to Lori Santos from Yale for giving me great material on for this seminar. And she has a course, Science of Well-Being on Coursera. I highly recommend to watch that course. So that brings us to what are the other reasons why material possessions don't make us happy? And the concept of hedonic adaptation comes to my mind. Hedonic adaptation. So what is hedonic adaptation? Hedonic adaptation is a concept when our mind gets used to with what we already have. Again, our mind gets used to with what already we have. And that applies to both positive and negative things, positive and negative experiences. So what our mind gets used to. The key thing to remember is that this hedonic adaptation many times is very implicit. It's very subconscious. It happens even without our knowledge. So this hedonic adaptation, that means getting used to with what we already have, is actually very, very subconscious. To give you an example, when we buy a car, in few weeks, few months, we even forget that we have a nice new car, and we move on with some next thing to buy. So when we buy a house, when we get married, even matter of fact, when you hear a word, I love you, first time from a romantic partner, versus hearing the same love you words after 6 months, after 2 years, after 5 years, same 2 words, love you, doesn't have a same kind of happiness creating moments compared to when you heard it first time. Same thing applies to when you hear a dad or a mom, first time from your first child or second child, first child typically, the happiness you got from hearing a word dad, like when I heard a word dad from a niece, the happiness you get has a different meaning. So this is hedonic adaptation. But I must say, I got the same feeling, same happiness when Saroni called me first time dad. So again, Saroni and Amish both. So again, good thing is that positive and negative experiences, we get the same hedonic adaptation. That's a good thing, because if you're getting hedonic adaptation only with positive thing, that would be bad for us. But fortunately, our mind, our brain is strong enough that even with negative experiences, we can get used to with it. We can forget about them, and we also have hedonic adaptation to negative experiences. So how can we thwart, or how can we let go? How can we stop this hedonic adaptation happening? So hedonic adaptation, again, is getting used to with what we already have. You can start with savoring. Savoring is an act where you can step out of an experience, review, and appreciate the experience. So savoring, we all know the word savoring, like we savor the food. So again, we need to savor the experience, what we are going through, or event, what's happening in our life, or the material thing we bought. Savoring. How can you savor? You can savor by intensifying and lengthening the experience, by sharing with somebody. For example, if you are having a nice, healthy meal, if you share with somebody, you'll have a higher chance of not getting hedonic adaptation. Talking to someone about your experience or event you bought, appreciating what you have, and how lucky you are to get that thing, being very mindful. Whenever you go through any experience or when you buy anything, being very mindful. Matter of fact, if you jump up and down with that experience, then you will also have a less chance of hedonic adaptation. Also feeling how proud you are to achieve that success, either owning a car, owning a house, or having a great relationship. Feeling proud also gives you less hedonic adaptation. You can also take a picture of things you bought or an experience you're going through. You can also buy a souvenir. So again, those are the way you can thwart hedonic adaptation. The goal here is to not go through hedonic adaptation. That means keep our experience, keep our material thing we bought fresh, and keep giving us the same happiness. Very hard thing to do, but we can all learn how to thwart the hedonic adaptation. So what things you can do, what things actually you can not do to not have the hedonic adaptation. And that one of the important things is focus on the future. So again, when you're having any good experience, for example, if you are eating one bite of cookie, and if you are thinking of, I'm going to have something else next week, like a pizza or something, then you're not enjoying the small bite of cookie. So again, enjoy what you are having, be mindful. If you think that this experience will be over very soon, then you can also will have high hedonic adaptation. If you compare every experience you have, every material thing you buy that is not as good as other, for example, if you buy a simple car, but if you compare again one more time that you don't have the car, which is Mercedes or BMW, you'll have hedonic adaptation very quickly. And if you think that how can I have better experience, better car, you will have hedonic adaptation. And if you feel that you don't deserve this experience or this material purchase, then you will also have hedonic adaptation. So again, goal here is to thwart or not have the hedonic adaptation. Mark Twain clearly said, to get the full value of joy, you must have somebody to divide with. So to not have hedonic adaptation, always share whatever material thing you purchase, whatever experience you have. There's a better way of thwarting or better way of preventing the hedonic adaptation, and that method is actually investing more into experience than buying material thing. So again, if you invest more into experience, instead of buying a new expensive car, if you take a vacation, if you go to a dinner with friends, if you go visit a park, anything which gives you experience, then you will have a less chance of hedonic adaptation. Actually, matter of fact, planning for an experience also gives us more positive emotions and more chance of happiness. So again, experience is a better way to go than buying or owning a material thing. And matter of fact, if you can find an experience which can be free or very low cost, you will have very low chance of hedonic adaptation. Like going to a park, obviously no cost, or going to a library, no cost, going to a bookshop, or going out for dinner with friends. Those things will give you longer and longer lasting happiness than any owning material thing. There's another way of preventing hedonic adaptation, and that's by negative visualization. Negative visualization concept has been 2,500-year-old concept. Matter of fact, it was described in Stoic philosophy. I'll explain you that also as we go in the seminar. In negative visualization, you essentially visualize or you imagine how your life would be without that event, or without that item. To give you an example, if I own a simple car, if I visualize that how my life would be without that car, that I would be walking to the work, or I would be taking a train or a bus, then I will appreciate the value of the car. I will have more happiness from owning the same car. I don't have to get a better car. I don't have to get a helicopter or a jet or a plane to be happier. From the same car, if I visualize how my life would be without the same car, I will have higher chance of happiness. So again, negative visualization is a very important concept. We all should be doing negative visualization on a regular basis. There's another way of thwarting hedonic adaptation, and that's thinking that today is your last day. If you think that today is my last day to enjoy this house because the house is already sold, I'll be moving out, you will enjoy the house. So think that today is your last day. You can also extend this thing by saying that this is your last week. For example, at work, if you think that this is your last week, you'll have a higher chance of enjoying your coworkers, even being more productive, getting the work on time. So essentially thinking that this is your last day or your last week. Next way you can thwart the hedonic adaptation is by interrupting your consumption. Whatever you are consuming, whatever you are experiencing, interrupt that feeling, feeling. So for example, for me, if I take a bus to my work, instead of going by a car, I will know what happiness the car provides me. So essentially interrupting your ongoing consumption. And then creating a voluntary hardship also. For example, if I have to take a bus or train to my work and create a hardship, then I will have more happiness from owning my car. So again, you can have hedonic adaptation less happening if you go to create a voluntary hardship. Also by increasing your variety. For example, if you are having fun eating fruits, then instead of getting used to with eating apple every day, have all different type of fruits, and that will also prevent hedonic adaptation. I have two of my own ideas, two of my own tricks. The one of them is that assign a number to this material purchase you have or an experience you have for that sake. Assign a number and put in your phone that number. To give you an example, if you buy a nice car, assign a number that it gave me a happiness on a 0 to 100, let's say 70. Put that number in your phone, 70, and refer to that number on a weekly basis. So as the time goes, every week, every month, every year, if you keep the same car, if you can recall from your phone that that gave you 70 happiness on a scale of 0 to 100, it will keep reminding you that that happiness still should be 70 because it's still the same car. So again, assigning a number to that experience or the purchase. The next way you can thwart the hedonic adaptation, again, this is my own method, is by attaching happy memories to a material purchase. To give you an example, we live in a current house, and whenever I go to Saloni, our daughter's bedroom, or Amish, our son's bedroom, I have a lot of memories attached to those rooms. So even though this house, we are in it for 14 years, the memory and the happiness from this house is constant because I have attached memories to this house. A lot of great memories to this house. And so this house keeps giving me joy. And I don't need to go to a bigger house or a better house. This house gives me great happiness and great joy on an ongoing basis because I have created many memories in this house. So attach memories to a material purchase. For example, if you have a car, attach taking car on a vacation with your family. So that way, whenever you drive the same car, you will have those memories. So again, attaching to the material purchase. There's another way of thwarting or preventing hedonic adaptation, and is that by keeping a gratitude journal. Keeping a gratitude journal. I have a great video on how to keep a journal. So again, we all should be creating a gratitude journal. We should create a master list of all our gratitudes. For example, I have my master list. My master list includes having a great spouse, great kids, living parents, living in America, being a cardiologist, great job, great income, great house, great car. So I have my own master list. I look at my master list at least a few times a week, and then I know that how fortunate, how lucky, how happy I should be. I also add to the list as good things happen, typically in a daily, weekly basis. It takes about 3 minutes to make a master list. I essentially advise all of you to create your own gratitude master list today and look at that list at least a few times a week. If you have a gratitude list, if you show gratitude, you definitely will be happier. You will have a less chance of depression. You can also extend this by creating a gratitude visit where you go and see somebody and give them your thank you, give them your gratitude. You can send a gratitude email. You can send a gratitude text even immediately after this lecture is over. Reach out to a friend by text or by a phone call and say thank you. Again, in marriage, thank you and appreciation, you have a less chance of divorce. So all relationship, gratitude works. At the work also, if you show gratitude to co-workers, there's also higher chance of work-related happiness and work-related success. So again, gratitude is very important. This brings to our reflection for the current segment. This reflection, the first question is, which product or a thing which made you happy for a short time, but not in the long run? Again, this concept goes into hedonic adaptation. Next question is, do you enjoy more experiences or buying material things? For example, did you enjoy the vacation or did you enjoy buying a new car? I'm talking long term. Like, do you have happy memories of a vacation or happy memories of buying a new car? My next question is, have you ever done negative visualization? If you remember the term negative visualization, have you ever done negative visualization? Again, this concludes our current segment. We will move on to the next segment. Again, we are on YouTube, we are on Twitter, we are on Facebook, we are on Instagram. Please reach out to all our social media. Please invite your friends and family to our social media, definitely to our Facebook. We regularly post on all 4 social medias. We definitely try our best to teach and educate as many people as possible for a healthy lifestyle. So go ahead and like us on our social media.